Hello and welcome back. Another First Impressions. Jimi Hendrix video is still coming out, but probably not until like tomorrow or Thursday or maybe even Friday. Hard to say. So I thought I would do St Vincent first impressions of her song "Pay Your Way in Pain."
You got to pay your way in pain.
This track is interesting. Right off the bat, I'm going to say I like it. I think it's a really good first single to an extent. It's hard to judge not knowing what the rest of the album is going to sound like. It's not as focused a single as the stuff on even like Self-Titled was. Self-Titled and Mass Seduction both had really big telegraphed singles that screamed single. Like this is your single. This is the hook. This is the song that's gonna draw you in. This less so. That's not as much of a thing on this track. In fact, it almost feels more like a deep cut at times than it does a lead single. But this is pretty clearly going to be a different kind of album than Mass Seduction was. Annie has made that pretty clear in all of her interviews, and I'm glad about that because I really wasn't sure where she was going to go with this. And I suppose, we really won't know until the album comes out in May. But, the single makes me think that it's going to be very different. Because, St. Vincent is probably the last, maybe not quite the last man standing, but St. Vincent is one of the very few big artists from that whole late 2000s, early 2010s, pitchfork indie, baroque pop, slightly neo-psychedelic, whatever you want to call it, indie thing that was going on at that time. She's pretty much the last artist from that scene, aside from Tame Impala, that has any kind of relevancy, because most of the big names they've either gone or they are off in their own corner. Fleet Foxes and Vampire Weekend are very much off in their own corner. Arcade Fire kind of tried to do what she's done, and they failed. Everything Now is an album, to me, Everything Now is like a perfect 6 out of 10. I've never formed an opinion on it, but everybody else seems to hate it. But yeah, so I wasn't sure where she was going to go, because Mass Seduction had some genuine momentum. I don't know how much she actually thought Mass Seduction was going to be a hit, but it turned out to be a really big hit. It was an album a lot of people got down to. A lot of people really, really love Mass Seduction. If you know me, if you've been following me for a while since when that album came out, you know that it was actually the first St. Vincent I heard when it was new. I had always heard her name, but somehow I had missed out on her throughout all the years. And I actually binged her entire discography in one night before I reviewed Mass Seduction the first time, which is why that is one of the strangest reviews I've ever done, and is not a particularly good review if you're going back from this video to look at it. It's one of those rare cases where a first impression actually was a first impression, so bear that in mind as you watch it, if you do, which I wouldn't. So yeah, Pay Your Way in Pain. This is very funk, it's very R&B, it's very New York City after the early 70s ended, but before disco really took off, which is pretty much what she said the whole album was going to go for, is that sort of New York City in the 70s vibe. And when I read that, before I heard the single, I thought to myself, this could go in one of two directions. You could go New York Dolls, which is not a bad thing, but it's very done already. It's very, very done already. Pretty much the whole rock scene of the early 2000s, that last big rock revival we had, was going off of stuff like the Velvet Underground and the New York Dolls, that kind of minimalist, semi-hard rock-ish whatever. And then the other option was like Young Americans, which technically Young Americans is an LA album, but it's from the time period in question, and it kind of does the thing in question. Or Black and Blue era Stones. How about that? Some white limeys trying to do black dance music. That's kind of, it was going to be one of those two things, and based on this track, I would guess the album is going to be more funk and soul. I mean, she said that Stevie Wonder was going to be an influence, but yeah, I really like it. I think the new look is interesting. Very thin white Duke, very interesting. I like the music video. The music video is, you know, playing homage to all of those classic 70s kind of promo, TV, whatever, music video things that for soul and such like. It's a really good track. I look forward to hearing the rest of the album. When we get closer to its release, I want to go back and do full reviews of some of my favorite St. Vincent albums, so be looking forward to that in the future. I also have a couple of like turning 10, turning 20, thus and such videos I want to do this year. The first of which you're going to see is probably like going to be a review of the first Gorillaz album, which we are very rapidly approaching the 20-year anniversary of. I have a lot of different stuff I'm planning this year, so like and subscribe, leave a comment. Be sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe for my 420 no-scope Call of Duty compilations. That would be what I would say if I was making this video in 2011, but I'm not making this video in 2011, so I don't know why I said that. So, bye!